Snark Squad. Babes, it's Friday morning.
Yes, it is.
The air, cold.
Freezing.
But somehow, the birds are singing. And babes, we've got coffee on deck, lemon cake on deck. And babes, we're ready for a good fucking day.
Happy weekend, babes. Because whenever you're listening,
Yeah.
you made it.
Honestly, barely made it, but we did. We woke up, FaceTimed each other,
Oh.
and immediately checked the DMs.
Because priorities, obviously.
And shout out to Mia, babe sliding into the DMs, requesting this mess. And you already know, you ask, we deliver. Like messy UPS men.
The messiest. Mia merch is coming your way.
Yeah.
So, babe, slide back in.
With your size.
We do. But we need to be honest with you guys. We had no idea what this show even was. Like, what is the concept?
Like,
what are the rules? Who approved this?
Seriously, who signed the papers for this? But before we get into the deep, dark weeds of what actually happened, let's logically break down the premise for a second. Because just trying to explain the architecture of this show out loud, it sounds like a fever dream.
Like a hallucination. Exactly. Like a producer took way too much NyQuil. So, Alex Cooper, right, the patron saint of chaotic podcasting, she rents this incredibly stark luxury mountain chalet in Park City, Utah.
Gorgeous house. Wasted on these people.
Completely wasted. She goes into the deepest, darkest, most unhinged corners of the internet, scrapes the absolute bottom of the reality TV barrel, and pulls out 16 of the most polarizing and honestly, deeply canceled personalities.
Bit of cancel.
And she throws them together to compete in the Unwell Winter Games.
Babes, I am gagging. I am literally gagging at the audacity of this concept. When I heard the cast list, I had to pause the video.
You texted me in all caps.
I did. I had to physically stand up and walk around my apartment to calm down. Let's start with the cast. Babes, are these not the most unlikable people ever?
It's basically House of Villains, but the terrifying part is half of them don't even realize they were cast as villains.
No, they think they're the main pop girls.
Right. They think they are the heroes of their own twisted narratives.
Like Huda. Babes, she is one crash out away from jail. I am fully spiraling over this. When I saw her pop up on my screen in that giant puffy snowsuit, trying to act all cute and relatable, I screamed at my iPad. I was like, have we forgotten the internet over the last few months?
It is incredibly jarring, and we really need to analyze the timeline here because context changes everything about how you view her on screen.
Exactly. Tell them the timeline.
So they filmed this in February, right before the massive, very real-world restraining order drama exploded all over social media.
The darkest drama.
Right. We are talking about domestic incidents, the leaked text messages where she allegedly threatened to, off herself if her boyfriend Louis didn't answer his phone.
Oh, it's so dark.
All of that incredibly heavy reality happened literally right after they wrapped this. Yet here she is on our screens doing this cutesy, like, I'm a mommy, we're so in love, a routine with Louis. It is beyond toxic.
Beyond, it makes my skin physically crawl.
It's a masterclass in cognitive dissonance.
Every single time they were on screen being like, oh, we've been inseparable. We're talking about marriage. I want to pop out 5 of his kids. I am sitting there yelling at the screen, babes, call a therapist, call a lawyer.
Call anyone but a casting director.
Right. Do not reproduce under these conditions. The codependency is just, it's bleeding through the screen like a horror movie.
Then what's fascinating, well, deeply disturbing, actually, is the audience reaction.
Yeah.
If you look at the Reddit threads discussing her casting, the level of parasocial delusion is staggering.
Oh, the comments are insane.
Half the comments are people literally saying, I couldn't care less about her allegations. She's entertaining television.
Which is sick.
It's a perfect case study in how influencer culture absolves terrible behavior as long as it provides a good soundbite. Controversy is the only currency that matters in this ecosystem.
It is terrifying. And speaking of terrifying soundbites and like weaponized infamy, Anna Delvey,
Here we go.
babes, did she not spend years acting like she was completely above this kind of bottom feeder reality TV? And now, here we are, competing for pennies in the snow.
The fall from grace is spectacular, but she just refuses to acknowledge she's falling. Let's look at the trajectory. She goes from swindling New York's elite to sitting in federal prison to getting out and desperately trying to maintain this incredibly aloof, high-fashion, misunderstood genius aura.
Oh, the aura is fake. Remember the Dancing with the Stars stint?
How could anyone forget?
The bedazzled ankle monitor. The absolute refusal to smile or move her hips.
Exactly. She gave absolutely nothing, got eliminated instantly, and then proudly told the host she learned nothing.
Iconic, but also infuriating.
And she's carried that exact energy to the Utah tundra. But I really have to push back on the genius label people give her because the hypocrisy is wild.
Oh, totally.
You act like you are the chic mastermind, but your bank account must be scraping absolute zero because you are out here standing in the freezing cold for YouTube views, competing against random TikTokers who review reality TV from their messy bedroom.
Their childhood bedrooms.
It shatters the illusion completely.
She needs the exposure desperately. Babes, we cannot forget Bunnygate.
Oh no, not the bunnies.
Yes, the bunnies. This woman just did a photo shoot with live bunnies and then allegedly abandoned them in a park. Bunnygate is real, babes. She is chaotic evil.
The clout chasing is entirely transparent,
Mhm.
but honestly, just processing this level of delusion is exhausting.
It really is. We need to take a moment. Starbucks. Babes. The lemon cake. Elite.
So good.
The iced coffees. Hitting. We feel energized. Or caffeine high. One of the two.
Definitely the caffeine high, because digesting this cast requires heavy chemical enhancement.
True.
Let's talk about the architect of this madness, Alex Cooper. Thoughts? Is she a genius for gathering this literal train wreck, or is this just entirely gross exploitation?
I am so torn. On one hand, I live for the mess. You know I live for the mess.
You do.
It is my lifeblood. I physically cannot look away when you put this many disasters in one room. But on the other hand, it feels so icky. We are taking the worst people. People who have real victims in the real world, people with massive glowing red flags, and giving them a luxury vacation, camera time, and cash.
Yeah, it's a moral gray area. Well, not even gray, it's just dark.
It feels like a fever dream where the rules of society just do not apply to influencers.
It's the wild west of broadcasting right now. Let's break down the industry shift here. Alex Cooper literally says in her opening monologue, she says the quiet part out loud to the audience.
She didn't even try to hide it.
She tells the camera, these competitors were selected based on talent, popularity, and mainly being deeply mentally unwell.
Just a bit of it.
She isn't hiding the ball. She knows exactly what she's doing. She is capitalizing on the mental instability of these influencers. Traditional networks like Bravo or MTV, they have HR departments, psychological evaluations, and standards and practices.
Which they usually fail anyway, but at least there's a process.
Exactly. But Unwell is a YouTube network. They bypass all of that completely. It's exploitation rebranded as a Gen Z era.
Hot take. Maybe we need to get meaner.
Wait, what?
I'm serious, because somehow the worst people in society keep getting deals, keep getting podcast networks, keep getting eras. And babes, we are being too nice.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm joking, mostly. But seriously, where is my all-expenses-paid trip to a chalet to win 10 grand for being a menace? Why am I paying taxes when Anna Delvey is getting comped room service?
Well, you haven't swindled enough banks yet. You really need to commit to the bid if you want that Unwell check.
I guess I need to step up my game.
But before we get to the massive recap of this absolute madness, we have a Snark Squad moment.
Yes.
This is a one shady, snarky, or stupid anonymous submission from a listener who is just as baffled by the mechanics of this show as we are.
Ooh, read the full messy story, read it.
All right, let me pull it up. This listener writes in and says, Snark Squad, I am physically repulsed by the presence of grocery store Joe and Serena Pitt on this show.
Wow, repulsed. Strong word, I love it.
Right. They go on. They are married. They are boring. They are the most vanilla bachelor couple in existence and have given absolutely zero drama for years. What are they doing in a house full of actual degenerates? Are they broke? Are they just desperate for exposure to cross-promote their podcast on the Unwell Network? They had zero confessionals in the premiere.
Yeah.
It ruins the entire ecosystem of the house having these two normal people sitting around.
Babes, I completely agree. I am having a full emotional reaction to the submission because they are entirely ruining the chaotic vibe.
They really are.
You cannot put vanilla extract into a spicy margarita. It does not work. They're sitting there, married, perfectly content, probably going to bed at 9 p.m. and drinking chamomile tea, while Hallie is trying to juggle 3 men and Dylan is getting his back shaved in the kitchen.
The back shaving. We'll get to that.
Send them home. They are taking up beds that could be occupied by actual psychopaths.
Okay, let's logically break it down, because the listener nailed the underlying corporate strategy here. This is 100% a corporate synergy play.
Boring.
It is. But Joe and Serena have a podcast called Not Married to This, which is, wait for it, hosted on Alex Cooper's Unwell network.
Shocking.
This casting choice has absolutely nothing to do with entertainment value. This is just Alex throwing them a bone for cross-promotion to boost their download numbers.
But it's so unfair to us as viewers. We want the mess.
Exactly, because the listener is entirely right about the ecosystem of reality TV. The house is a fragile, toxic terrarium. When you have Eek and Sue ready to rip people to shreds and Dakota using the house like a dating app, Joe and Serena just act as a wet blanket.
A soaking, wet, heavy blanket.
They occupy space without generating content. It's a fundamental reality TV casting error to mix the well-adjusted with the deeply unwell.
Speaking of ruining the ecosystem, grab your iced coffees, babes, because we need to recap what actually happened in the Utah tundra.
Ooh, let's dive into it. And we need to spend some serious time here because the amount of sheer lunacy packed into these episodes requires a forensic breakdown.
It really does. Break out the whiteboards.
Let's start with episode 1. We open on the arrivals, and immediately the production value is questionable.
So
It's
questionable.
supposed to be this epic winter games, but it feels so deeply disorganized.
It's giving high school ski trip. It's giving youth group retreat gone wrong. They're all showing up in these giant, puffy, shapeless snowsuits. Half of them are wearing massive reflective goggles.
You literally couldn't tell them apart.
I was squinting at my screen playing Who is Who
Yeah.
because literally every single blonde influencer girl looked identical. Is that Hallie Batchelder? Is that Alyssa Violet? Is that Hannah Stocking? Who knows? They are just floating heads in neon puffers.
And then, cutting through the sea of neon, the true queen of chaos arrives, Anna Delvey. Showing up in the most impractical, chic, entirely inappropriate winter gear. She looks like she'd rather be anywhere else on planet Earth.
She looked miserable.
And immediately, before the games even begin, her ankle monitor dies.
Babes, I laughed out loud. I paused the video, stood up, and screamed at the ceiling. She is standing in the snow, and she just casually goes, I have an ankle bracelet from ICE, and because I think it's so high up, it died before it's supposed to.
We have to explain the mechanics of this because it is so absurd. The high altitude of Park City, Utah, literally killed the battery on her federal tracking device.
You cannot write comedy this good.
You really can't. And her reaction is what kills me. She's just casually like, I need to go inside and charge it. I don't want to get arrested. It would be so annoying.
Annoying.
A federal parole violation that could lead to deportation is annoying.
It's iconic. She literally had to leave the reality competition early on day one to go sit on the floor next to an electrical outlet so Homeland Security wouldn't raid the Unwell chalet.
It's insane.
She is treating IC like a slightly inconvenient ex-boyfriend. Ugh, they're so clingy.
While Anna is dealing with her federal crisis inside, the rest of the cast is mingling, and we see the tensions start to bubble. And this brings us to the fascinating dynamic between the reality stars and the TikTok commentators.
Oh, this was so good.
You have Cameron Girard, who is this TikTok hater with a tiny following. He literally sits in his room and makes videos trashing reality stars for a living.
Hiding behind his little ring light.
Exactly. And now the screen has been shattered, and he's in a room with Huda and Louie.
And he is shaking in his snow boots. He is visibly trembling because Louis walks in with his thick British accent, fully ready to throw hands over some TikToks.
Louie did not hold back.
He says to the camera, if you mess with my girl, my snow boot is going so far up where the snow don't fall, it's gonna hurt.
Which points for creativity, but it really exposes the cowardice of the internet ecosystem. Cameron tries to backpedal immediately.
He completely folded.
He realizes that making snarky videos from the safety of a bedroom is fundamentally different from breathing the same air as the actual unhinged people you're insulting. The bravado completely evaporates.
Then we get the twist. And babes, this is where I lost my absolute mind. Alex Cooper gathers them all around in the freezing cold and says, we had a fellow competitor miss a flight. Kendall Washington from Love Island couldn't make it.
Which, convenient timing.
So they announce they need a replacement guy right there on the spot. And who does she pull?
This is the moment the illusion of unscripted reality absolutely shatters. She points to a random guy standing behind the cameras on the production crew, Andrew Vetter.
The mullet.
A man with a mullet, one dangling earring, and a deeply curated Instagram aesthetic. She tells him to drop his clipboard and go suit up.
Babes, I completely spiraled over this. It is the fakest reality TV setup I have ever seen in my life. You don't just draft a producer. Let's think about the logistics.
The insurance alone.
Exactly. There are contracts, liability waivers, insurance policies. You don't just pull a guy making $15 an hour and throw him into a cast of millionaires. But my God, when he took his hat off and shook out that mullet, the girls were swooning.
We really have to analyze the producer plant trope here. Hallie Batchelder was practically drooling.
She really was.
She literally said in her confessional, there's something about Andrew's haircut and that one earring that just really made me feel something inside. We made eye contact, and I felt like we eye-fucked a little bit.
I gagged.
It was instant chemistry. But let's be analytical. Andrew is clearly, undeniably, a plant. Shows do this to control the narrative from the inside. He is way too comfortable on camera, his confessionals are perfectly timed with professional comedic beats, and his entire storyline revolves around manipulating the game. He isn't a random crew member. He's an embedded actor.
I don't even care. I love it. I don't care if he's a plant, he's hot. He's giving 1980s vintage ski instructor energy, and I am buying whatever he is selling. The mullet is working for me.
Well, you and Hallie both. So the teams are split into blue and purple, and we get to the first actual physical competition. Snowmo Frost.
The dumbest name.
The rules of this game are delightfully, painfully stupid. You partner up on a snowmobile. One person is the driver. The other is the designated passenger princess.
Naturally.
The passenger has to reach out while driving at full speed and grab these heavy sacks filled with tokens hanging from a rope.
And Alex Cooper literally tells them they have to fondle the sack. I gagged. The dialogue is so crass.
It's Unwell. What did you expect? The mechanics of the trivia attached to this are telling, though. The tokens have massive follower counts printed on them, and the contestants have to match the numbers to the correct cast member.
Which is so shady.
It proves that follower count is the only true currency in this house. Every wrong answer adds a 5-second penalty to their time.
The pairings for this were so incredibly messy. Cameron, the terrified TikTok hater, ends up partnered with Dakota, Babes, the guy who uses his ex-wife's phone book as a dating app and has major, dark, real-world allegations.
It's poetic justice.
Cameron is literally like, I talk shit about him all the time, but he chose me.
It's pure self-preservation on both sides. Dakota knows his reputation is radioactive, so he needs an ally who is too weak to fight back. Cameron needs to align with the scariest guy in the house so he isn't murdered in his sleep. It's prison yard politics.
Literally.
But the actual physical challenge was a disaster. We need to talk about Huda and Louie. Oh my God.
They literally flipped their snowmobile. They completely ate shit in the snow. I rewound it and watched it 3 times.
It was dangerous, honestly.
Huda looks utterly miserable the entire time. She looks like she wants to call an Uber XL and go straight back to the airport, and Louie's just dragging her through the tundra like a rag doll.
Meanwhile, you have the contrast of Ekin-Su. She is partnered with Soraya, and Ekin-Su is treating this like it's the Olympic finals. She knows the assignment.
She always does.
She won Love Island UK. She dominated the psychological warfare of the traders. She is a professional reality TV competitor. She understands that screen time is earned through intensity.
Ultimately, Anna Delvey and Alyssa Violet win the challenge, which is objectively hilarious because Anna just got done babysitting her ankle monitor at a wall outlet, gets on a snowmobile, gives 0 effort, and completely smokes everyone else.
And this is where Alex Cooper drops a massive, brilliant strategic twist. She brings Anna and Alyssa up and says, congratulations, you are the team captains, but you're picking each other's teams.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant producing. It flips the entire drafting mechanic on its head. You want to saddle your opponent with the absolute weakest, most pathetic links in the house.
Exactly. The psychology of this is fascinating. Alyssa gets to pick Anna's team, so who does she immediately select? Louie.
I screamed when she did that.
Why? Because Huda is already on Alyssa's team, and Alyssa knows that Louie is so deeply, toxically codependent with Huda that he will actively sabotage his own team to ensure his girlfriend wins.
The toxic codependency strikes again, and Louie literally admits it to the camera. He goes, if Huda's struggling, I'm going to help her over my team. Babes, what is the point of being in a competition show?
There is no point.
You are ruining the game theory on day 1. Go home. Go to couples therapy. Stop wasting our time.
It shows a complete lack of competitive integrity. So the manipulated teams are formed, and they head back to the chalet for what is supposed to be a relaxing cocktail hour. And immediately, the plotting begins.
Hallie was on the prowl.
She is scoping out every single man in the house like she is at a buffet. She's sizing up AL, she's eyeing Dakota, she's locking on to Andrew the producer.
She says, and I quote, I could find a husband, and we could make out the whole time. Babes, she is so parched, so thirsty, I need to send her a gallon of Fiji water. The desperation is loud.
But the cocktail hour is abruptly interrupted because Alex Cooper loves to ruin a good time. They're told they have 15 minutes to deliberate as a team and vote out their own weakest link. And they have to do it to their faces in the living room.
The tension. They are all sitting on these plush velvet couches, absolutely terrified of confrontation.
On the blue team, Louie immediately volunteers himself. He admits to his entire team that he is the weak link because he will throw the game for Huda.
So pathetic.
It's pathetic, but practically, it saves the team from having to backstab each other and create bad blood on night one.
On the purple team, Hallie steps up and sacrifices herself. She says she doesn't want the team to have a rift, so she volunteers. I actually respected it. It was giving Katniss Everdeen volunteering as tribute.
It was highly strategic. She knew that causing a massive fight on night one would put a permanent target on her back.
Right.
But then comes the twist.
Another one.
Alex tells them that the two weakest links, Louis and Hallie, will face off the next morning in an elimination game. The loser goes home. And to fill the newly empty spot on the winning team, a surprise guest walks through the door.
Demi Engman, from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
We have to explain this for the listeners who might not know the lore. This is the woman who casually, comfortably admitted on national television to peeing in her husband's mouth after eating Fruity Pebbles.
I screamed. The Fruity Pebbles incident. Dakota's face when she walked in the door was priceless. He was like, I did not think anyone from my cast was going to be here. He looked physically sick.
He was panicked.
Because Demi knows all of his real-world off-camera drama. She knows where the bodies are buried. She is not going to let him slide.
It's masterful cross-pollination of reality TV universes. Demi is an entirely unhinged presence. When asked later about the Fruity Pebbles incident, she genuinely looks confused and says, I thought it was normal.
Normal.
Normal. What circles are you running in, Demi, where human urination is a standard post-breakfast activity?
Babes, I'm unwell. This brings us to the chaos of episode 2. The next morning, it's supposed to be Louis versus Hallie in the elimination challenge. Hallie is literally sick to her stomach.
She was pale.
She knows Louis is this athletic, aggressive British menace, and she is just a girl who wants to make out with people.
But then, our favorite fully scripted producer plant steps up to save the day. Andrew Vedder interrupts the proceedings.
The knight in shining armor.
He announces that he was never supposed to be a contestant, he was just a production guy, and he is heroically sacrificing his spot in the game to save Hallie.
He took the grenade for his queen. I was swooning. He looked at her and was basically like, Mount horny for you, queen. It was so fake, so rehearsed, but I ate it up with a giant spoon.
It is so painfully fugazi. So the elimination becomes Louis versus Andrew, and Alex Cooper unveils the challenge. They pull off a tarp in the snow, and a massive, solid block of butter falls from the sky.
A literal block of butter.
And smashed inside this block of dairy is $10,000 in literal cash.
The budget allocation for this show is unhinged. They don't have money for decent snowsuits, but they are dropping 10 bands inside Kerrygold butter.
And what is the high-stakes challenge to stay in the house and win the 10 grand? Beer pong.
Beer pong. Frat boy basement games. I can't.
Louis immediately starts complaining that they don't play beer pong in the UK, setting up his excuses early. But he locks in. Andrew gives it his all, but Louis ends up smoking him. Louis wins the game, secures his spot in the house, and wins the $10,000.
And Huda is on the sideline screaming, what's his is mine, what's his is mine. They are so insufferable.
But here is where the show just completely abandons its own internal logic and insults the audience's intelligence. Andrew is officially eliminated. He gives a sad, dramatic speech, hugs Hallie goodbye, and walks off into the snow.
Tragic, right.
But literally 2 scenes later, guess who is standing behind the mahogany bar inside the chalet?
Andrew. He puts on a tiny black bartender apron and is just serving vodka sodas. He didn't go anywhere. He didn't pack a bag. He just pivoted careers from producer to reality contestant to in-house mixologist. I was gagging.
It invalidates the entire stakes of the elimination. Why do we care who loses if the loser just becomes the household help? It's absurd.
Totally absurd.
But structurally, it serves its purpose because it keeps Andrew in the house for Hallie to flirt with, which generates the romance plotline they desperately need.
Which she immediately does. The second the sun goes down, they sneak upstairs to the loft away from the party, and Andrew finally drops the I'm just a shy producer act.
About time.
He admits to her that he didn't pick her in the first challenge for strategy. He picked her because he wanted to hook up with her.
And they start making out. But before the hookup, we have to talk about the story Andrew tells Hallie in the loft. The Anna Delvey swindle story. This is the most revealing moment of the entire show.
Oh my God, yes. This is peak lore. Andrew tells Hallie that a few days ago, when he was still working as a legitimate producer before filming started, production told him to escort Anna Delvey to her hotel.
Right.
He gets to the front desk to check her in. Anna is flanked by her 2 mysterious henchmen. The hotel clerk asks for a credit card for incidentals.
And Anna Delvey, convicted financial fraudster, does what she does best. She weaponizes her infamy.
She is terrifying.
She pretends to reach into her bag for her wallet, stops, pulls her empty hand back, and just stares silently into Andrew's soul. He literally describes it to Hallie as her having blood-red eyes.
Just a pure death stare.
He panicked, completely folded under the psychological pressure of the Delvinator, and handed the hotel clerk his own personal credit card.
A literal scammer doing it again. And he says he's been too scared to log into his banking app to look at how much room service she's charged. Babes, she's probably ordering $1,000 caviar and champagne to her room on a PA's budget. It is the funniest, most unhinged thing I have ever heard.
It's terrifying because it proves she hasn't changed or learned a single thing. She knows her reputation intimidates people, and she uses it to extract resources. Meanwhile, downstairs, the party is absolutely spiraling out of control. They bring in the new surprise guest to replace the empty spot. Dylan Kevich.
Dylan. He bursts through the front door, veins popping out of his neck, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Shut up and fuck me!"
It is so forced. It is the definition of trying too hard. He is so desperate to be the main character that he literally introduces himself to a room full of strangers by saying he calls himself the gay Kim Kardashian.
Which is a choice.
It's entirely manufactured to become a trending audio on TikTok.
I know it's performative, but I couldn't stop laughing at the hot tub prep. Dylan decides he wants to go in the hot tub to secure camera time, but he realizes he cannot be seen on international YouTube with back hair.
Oh, this is vile.
So what does he do? He goes into the crowded kitchen, hands a cheap disposable razor to a stranger, and makes them dry shave his back in the middle of the party.
It is deeply unhygienic and just bizarre behavior to force on a new coworker.
And then we get to the actual hot tub, which brings us to the ultimate reality TV incubator. Hallie, who literally just finished making out with Andrew, the producer, upstairs in the loft, pivots immediately.
Zero hesitation.
The ink isn't even dry in her romance. She goes outside and gets into the hot tub with Dakota.
Dakota, the man with dark, heavy energy radiating off him.
Hallie says in her confessional that she sacrificed her brand new, expensive hair extensions to get into this heavily chlorinated hot tub just to flirt with him. And they sit there for an hour and a half. And Dakota gives her nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Zero game, zero banter. He is just vibing in the warm water.
Hallie's internal monologue here is incredible television. She realizes she is freezing cold above the water. Her expensive hair is ruined, her skin is turning into a literal prune, and the guy won't even make a move.
Yeah, she was suffering.
She just spirals internally and eventually flees the hot tub in defeat. It is a masterclass in awkward, excruciating reality TV dating.
While Hallie is pruning outside, Ikensu is inside providing the villain edit we so desperately deserve. She is sitting on the couch with Soraya, just openly, viciously judging everyone in the room. She specifically targets Juliet Porter from Siesta Key.
Ikensu does not mince words. She says Juliet gives off easy vibes and desperate vibes. She claims Juliet is the exact type of girl who would sleep with your man and then try to make out with you the next morning.
Ikensu refuses to pretend she likes these people. She is treating the Unwell chalet like a peasant village that she has been forced to govern against her will. She is looking down her nose at everyone.
The next day, Alex Cooper gathers the hungover cast for Challenge 2. Launch Me Daddy.
The name of this challenge, I cannot... Who is writing this script?
It's a two-part challenge. Part 1 is a trivia contest about the cast's deepest secrets. This was actually highly revealing because it exposed the insane, shady things these people have done off camera.
Okay, let's run through the trivia answers because they were wild. Joe Amabiel's hall pass is Dua Lipa, which is boring.
On.
Dakota slid into Selena Gomez's DMs and got ignored, which is embarrassing. Luthi has 4 active cell phones.
You need to pause on that. 4 cell phones. Even Anna Delvey, a woman intimately familiar with burner phones and fraud, looked at him and said, "What are you doing?"
Game recognizes game.
That is premium shady behavior. There is no legitimate reason for a reality star to have 4 phones unless you are coordinating black market deals or cheating.
Juliet told a girl she was sleeping with her boyfriend just to be petty. Cameron has Tina Knowles in his phone contacts, sure. And Nico. Babes. Nico
Emanuelitis, the host of the Daddy Academy podcast. His trivia answer was that his ultimate sexual kink is Dom Daddy and Bratty Sub.
I gagged. I physically gagged.
Yeah.
And he stands there in the snow and says it was such pride.
The purple team wins the trivia round, giving them a time advantage in part 2. They all hike to the top of a massive, terrifyingly steep, snowy hill. They have to get into these giant inflatable inner tubes and blindly slide down, aiming to land perfectly inside a giant bullseye painted at the bottom.
The visual of these highly manicured influencers, absolutely terrified, screaming for their lives, flying down a mountain in an inner tube is pure comedy. Karen was literally praying to God. Juliet totally wiped out and ate snow.
But Nico, the self-proclaimed Dom Daddy himself, absolutely nails the physics. He slides perfectly into the exact center of the bullseye. He wins another $10,000 cash prize.
And what does he say when they hand him the giant wad of cash? He looks at the camera and says, "A daddy must always take care of his baddies."
It's nauseating. It is a deeply nauseating personal brand to maintain. But the real drama stems from the elimination mechanism. The blue team lost the overall challenge, which means the specific person who landed furthest from the bullseye on their team is automatically eliminated. And that person is Hannah Stocking.
Hannah, the OG Vine star. The woman with 60 million followers across platforms, eliminated in episode 2 because her team pushed her inner tube slightly too far to the right.
It's an absolute waste of casting and a massive failure in game design. You bring in someone with a massive built-in audience, someone who could actually provide comedic relief and viral moments, and you boot her over a physics equation on a snowy hill.
It makes no sense.
It's terrible reality TV producing. You're supposed to protect your big names, not send them home over wind resistance.
Babes, watching this recap back, it's clear some of these people need serious help. So we're going to do what we do best. Let's draft the absolute worst of the worst.
Let's do it. Segment 1, Most Unhinged Cast Member. We are each picking our top 3 worst, most chaotic, most unlikable people in this chalet. You go first.
Okay, my number 3 most unhinged is Dylan Kevich. Babes, the dry back shaving in the kitchen alone secures his spot on this list.
Fair point.
But it's the sheer desperation, bursting through the door screaming his manufactured catchphrase, begging to be the gay Kim Kardashian. It is exhausting. He isn't bringing natural drama, he's bringing desperate audition tape energy, and it's unhinged in the worst, most grating way.
I hear that, but I have to push back slightly. Dylan is performatively unhinged, which is annoying, but it's harmless. My number 3 is genuinely unhinged. Demi Henchman.
Oh, true.
Look, anyone who can walk into a room, look an entire cast of reality stars in the eye, and act completely normal and bubbly after the Fruity Pebbles pee scandal is a sociopath. I'm sorry, logically, the wiring in her brain is fundamentally different. She is completely unfazed by her own dark infamy.
Oh, she is terrifying, I will give you that. Okay, my number 2, most unhinged, Anna Delvey. Babes, she swindled the producer.
She did.
She is a literal convicted scammer, currently on federal probation, wearing a dead ankle monitor, and she is still committing financial fraud for luxury room service. She just stared into Andrew's soul with blood-red eyes until he handed over his credit card. The absolute nerve.
She is legally unhinged, yes. My number 2 is Cameron Girard. The hypocrisy is staggering. This guy built an entire brand trashing these exact people on TikTok. He makes a living off being superior to them.
What fragile living?
Right, and he gets cast, walks into the chalet, and the second Louis looks at him sideways, he completely folds. He starts apologizing, shaking in his boots, and desperately trying to ride the coattails of the people he insults just to survive. It's pathetic.
He was terrified. Okay, my number 1 most unhinged, I have to go off. It is Huda.
Wait, really? Number 1?
Yeah. Yes. The off-camera drama with the restraining orders and the unhinged texts is dark enough, but watching her on camera is jarring. She looks absolutely miserable 90% of the time, and the other 10% she is showcasing this suffocating, toxic codependency with Louis. It is an absolute chaotic nightmare to watch. She shouldn't be on a game show. She should be logging off forever.
See, I completely disagree with you putting Huda at number 1. Yes, she's codependent, but my number 1 is Dakota Mortensen. The dark energy surrounding this man is palpable and dangerous.
That's true. He is scary.
If we look at the source material, he is fresh off domestic violence headlines. He's using his ex's phone book as a dating app to terrorize her, and his on-camera behavior. He sat in a hot tub with Hallie for an hour and a half, giving her absolutely nothing, turning her into a prune, just staring into the abyss like a serial killer. He has a walking red flag dipped in Utah snow. He is far more unhinged than Huda.
It's chilling. Okay, I see your point. Moving on to segment 2. Worst decision. There were so many terrible choices made by both the cast and the producers. Let's break down the top 5 worst decisions we saw.
I'll kick us off with number 1. The fake Andrew Vetter storyline. Pretending a producer was randomly drafted because someone missed a flight, having him sacrifice himself heroically, and then literally just putting a bartender apron on him so he can stay in a house and hook up with Hallie.
So bad.
It treats the audience like we are stupid. We know he's a plant. It destroys the stakes of the game.
Exactly. It makes the rules feel pointless. My number 2 worst decision. Casting Joe Amabile and Serena Pitt. Bibs, they did literally nothing. They had 0 confessionals in 2 entire episodes. They are a married, happy, boring couple. Why take up 2 spots in a house of degenerates, send them back to Chicago, and cast 2 more villains?
Number 3 is Louis volunteering as the weakest link. He completely ruined the entire premise of the social strategy game on day 1, just so he wouldn't have to potentially beat his girlfriend in a challenge. If you are going to play the psychological game, don't cash the appearance check.
Number 4, the $10,000 cash prizes for random stupid things. Alex Cooper dropping $10K in a block of butter for a beer pong game. Nico winning $10K for sliding in a tube down a hill. The budget allocation is unhinged. Who was funding this? Give the money to the crew.
And number 5, rounding out the worst decisions. Hannah Stocking's elimination. Getting rid of an OG internet star with 60 million followers in episode 2 because her team nudged her inflatable tube slightly to the right.
A crime.
It is terrible reality TV producing.
Yeah.
You protect your big names, you don't send them home over physics and gravity.
Let's pivot to segment 3, main character or try hard. We are calling it OUT. NFL draft style for our top 3 picks each. I'll take the first overall pick.
You're on the clock. Make it count.
Pick 1, Hallie Batchelder. Try hard. Bades, she is exhausting. Hooking up with the producer in the loft, freezing her expensive extensions off to flirt with Dakota in the hot tub, trying to juggle 3 guys in 24 hours. She thinks she is the absolute IT girl of the chalet, but she is just working overtime for camera time. Try hard.
Pick 2, my first pick. Ekin Sue. Main character. She won Love Island UK, she dominated the traders, and now she is openly insulting everyone else's intelligence and outfits while barely lifting a finger. Absolute royalty, treating the house like a peasant village. Main character energy effortlessly.
Pick 3, Cameron Girard. Try hard. Shaking in his boots when Louis confronted him, desperately apologizing and trying to ride coattails. He talks a big game online, but is a chihuahua in person.
Pick 4, Dylan Kevich. Try hard. Screaming a manufactured catchphrase the second he walks in the door and making people dry shave his back. Desperate for a viral moment. We agree on the tryhards.
Pick 5, Andrew the producer. Main character. He secured a spot on the cast, got the girl in the loft, lost the beer pong game, and still managed to stay in the house to serve drinks and hang out. He fugazied the whole system. That is main character manipulation.
I have to challenge you on Andrew. He isn't a main character, he is a production puppet. He is just doing what his earpiece tells him to do. My final pick, pick 6, is the true main character, Anna Delvey.
Criminal mastermind.
Standing in the Utah tundra, complaining about her ankle monitor dying because of the altitude. Extorting room service from a producer using only eye contact. Iconic, even if she is a criminal.
Okay, segment 4. We need to be honest. Should the show even exist?
Let's look at the bigger picture of the entertainment industry. Is the influencer reality TV bubble bursting, or is it just getting more toxic? Because taking 16 people known for being highly problematic, throwing them in a house with unlimited alcohol, and stripping away traditional network HR oversight feels like a recipe for a massive, catastrophic lawsuit.
It feels like a fever dream. Do the rules even matter? No. Alex Cooper makes them up as she goes. It's just an excuse to lock controversial people in a house and see who crashes out first. It's an unhinged social experiment.
And we have to ask about the precedent this sets. It rewards bad behavior with clout and cash. It sends a message to young influencers that the worse you behave in the real world, the more chaotic your personal life is, the more likely you are to get cast on a massive YouTube network.
It's true. It's absolute trash. It fundamentally shouldn't exist. But we, as the Snark Squad, are physically incapable of turning it off. We live for the mess. I am going to be seated, blanket pulled up to my chin, iced coffee in hand for episode 3.
We are part of the problem. We fund the ecosystem, and we accept that.
Wrap up. Cold morning, caffeine chaos, messy TV. Do you even understand this show? Who is the worst cast member? And babes, are we thriving or just caffeinated?
And think about this. Will this unregulated YouTube model replace traditional Bravo reality TV entirely, given they don't have to follow traditional network rules and can just fully embrace the absolute worst of human behavior?
Rate, review, subscribe, send submissions, send this to your messiest friend. Thank the Snark Squad. Stay cozy, stay chaotic, and we'll see you on the Snark side.